I remember when I first got married to my husband, and I thought, wow, he is so lucky to get me. And it says that women were the helpers of our husband, the helper and completers. And I thought, wow, he really needs my help. I am going to be such a blessing to him. And then as we got married, I realized, whew, he is not receptive to this help that I'm so willingly offering him. I don't know if you other wives out there can relate, but I didn't realize, it took me a long time to realize that my help came across as controlling to my husband, and it was controlling. I just didn't see it at the time. And so we struggled. And you know what is so cool is I was in prayer one day about this, and the Lord took me to Genesis 3, which is ironic because Genesis 3 is where the fall happens and where the very first mention of the consequences from the fall are brought about. And in Genesis 3, if you go to verse 16, and God is telling the woman, like, you fell, and this is going to be how life is going to be for you now. In verse 16, he says, to the woman, he said, I will surely multiply your pain and childbearing, and in pain you shall bring forth children. And I know, as those of us as moms, there's this beautiful mixture of pain, but yet also just the wonder that we get to be life givers. But in the midst of this pain of not just birth itself, but in raising kids, our hearts are left vulnerable to these children we love so much, yet they're in the midst of this crazy chaos and dealing with the consequences of a sinful world, a broken world, and yet our hearts are in pain because we're so vulnerable to these children we love so much. It's like having your heart walk around outside of your body, and you just want to protect it, but you know that you can't. And it says, your desire shall be for your husband, and he will rule over you. I did not realize it until the Lord showed me that a lot of what I called helping was actually my desire to rule over my husband. It was actually exactly what God said here, that in marriage, we're going to have this desire to rule him, to rule over him. And it says, yet he will rule over you. So what the Lord shared with me that day that just changed everything, he said, Rhonda, you know what? This curse can be flipped upside down when you recognize who your real husband is, your true, eternal, everlasting husband. When your desire is for your husband, he will rule over you. And that did something to me in my heart and in my mind, because I put all of this emphasis on my earthly marriage, all these expectations on my earthly husband, on my earthly man, and yet God is my real husband. 10,000 years from now, I'm going to be married to Jesus. This marriage here, this eternal marriage, is everlasting. This marriage here on earth is temporary. It's not everlasting. We're not going to be married in heaven. It says later on in scripture that Jesus said we won't be given a marriage in heaven. And that is because we're already married. We're married to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and we are his beloved bride. And when we set the eyes of our heart on this marriage, our king will rule over us. Our husband will rule over us. And what was handed down as a consequence for the fall actually becomes a blessing as he rules over us, and our marriage falls into this right alignment, and we're able to see the blessing of this person he's given us to do life with here on earth. And we are actually able to recognize the blessing that we have in him and the beauty that we have in him. We're actually to be a helper and completer of him, who has to deal with this curse, which it says to the man, because you have listened to the voice of your wife and have eaten from the tree which I commanded you, you shall not eat. Cursed is the ground because of you. In pain you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you. And you shall eat the plant of the field. By the sweat of your face you shall eat bread, till you return to the ground. For out of it you were taken, and to it. For you are dust, and to dust you shall return. So, like women, we are made out of Adam's side. We are made from his rib. We are made to support. The rib supports these vital organs, the heart and the lungs, that without him, he cannot breathe. His heart can't beat. And yet we as women, instead of using the rib to support our husbands, we use it to poke them and prod them and use it as a pointer for how they need to change to become more like our idea of who they should be, instead of being a strong support and helping them bear up under and belong to Christ, who became a curse for us all, who wore the crown of thorns upon his head. He is actually upon the cross bearing witness that he is bearing the curse for us. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you, and you shall eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the ground. And on the cross, Jesus is bearing this curse on his own head and saying, it is finished. So we're free. We are free to belong to him, to belong to our first husband, and to be helpers and completers of our husbands here on earth, who are bearing up under the weight of this curse, even as they're discovering more fully who they are as men of God, who are still experiencing the consequences of sin, yet coming to understand and know who they truly fully are as men of God, men after God's own heart, for whom he bore the curse upon his own head. Anyway, I hope that blesses you today as it blessed me. God bless you, and God bless your marriages, and have a wonderful day. Thank you for letting me share my heart with you.